So, this has been sort of an eclectic meeting, but very deep and I think informative. So this part deals with the question of leadership and career development, something which is taking us back to the question of culture, which we addressed previously. And, most people think success is a straight line until they actually make the journey, and then it's very clear that it's very convoluted. I just wanted to make this comment when I presented this at the San Diego Shoulder Institute meeting. Before you talk about your career and what you want to make of it, whether you're in industry or you're a physician, you need to have an idea about what you want to be, what's your roadmap, and whether you want to be an educator like Jamesh here, or you want to be a great surgeon like these two guys in the upper right, or a leader like Buddy Savoy, or whether money is your major purpose, because it is for many, or a Christian Gerber, or a Lanny Johnson, or a Matt Provencher. Each of these have their unique journey that they've made, and it's nice to see what people have done, because we're not original. We like to be inspired and follow people. The relevant factors we said before were context, and so where you practice, group practice, rural, urban, whether you're an institute or an academic center or at a specialist hospital like HSS or a generalist or a large healthcare system, or whether you also have industry relationships which require some additional elements to the way you conduct yourself, or whether you get private equity involved, which is coming online all the time and certainly influencing what's ahead for us. We're lucky to have Ron Adner here to talk about the wider lens, but I never met Clayton Christensen, but I read a lot of his work, and this book, How Will You Measure Your Life, I think is a critical book. I gave it to all my kids who are in finance, but it's a critical book to keep yourself grounded. And in a TED Talk that he gave, maybe 19 minutes long, it's worth watching, he said, that companies and people fail because they do not align their strategy in life and business with what they really want, which is happiness and business success. This is a short-term view versus a long-term view of strategy, and that happens to affect your life as well as your approach to products that you develop. And he says, can you explain why your life is the way it is today? Because he had so many people that he knew and those who had been business school graduates with him who came back to alumni meetings divorced and unhappy. And he said, can you predict what will happen in your life? And he asked a question, if we have free time, will we allocate it to the activities that give us the most immediate evidence of achievement, which is usually our careers, or our family and children, which it takes a longer time to realize the ROI? And this is a real problem in balance. And the way we invest our time and energy and talents causes us to implement a strategy that we wouldn't really want to pursue if happiness was our goal. And that's sort of a trade-off. Michael Porter touched on strategy, and he said, the real essence of strategy is choosing what not to do. And so being able to say no is something that Bill Gates and Warren Buffett had made the point of. We spend our time in things that don't return value to us because we don't spend enough time thinking about what we want to do. And we also don't have a good understanding of ourselves, and this is from one of my professors at HBS, Tony Mayo, who pointed out that this looking glass concept, your mother sees you different than your partner or your siblings or your ex-partner. And understanding how you're viewed has a lot to do with how you conduct yourself in business. And I love this quote from Casey Stengel, who is a baseball manager. He said, the secret of managing is to keep the guys who hate you away from the guys who are undecided. And, I haven't done a good job of that in my career. The sweet spot that you have is where your strengths and what others want of you and your passions overlap, and where you get into the burnout or danger zone is when your passions are not part of that process. It's quite simple. And I think most importantly, and this is a real evidence of this fact, the networks that we create are essential. And a network isn't about the number of people you meet, but the number of people you introduce others to, which is happening here today. And it's a power of compounded interest. It really is. You can't underestimate how important that is, and I urge everybody to spend time building their network and going outside their comfort zone, because it makes a huge difference. So, to introduce the next section, I tell you you're very lucky that we have Alan Friedman here, who is from J3P Healthcare Solutions. He'll tell you more about himself. This is a wonderful book called Trillion Dollar Coach, about a man who coached most of the people whose names you would know from Silicon Valley. And the reason he's called Trillion Dollar Coach is he made a difference in helping them succeed. And that was people like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and many others. And the truth is, it is true that people benefit from a coach and benefit from insight and don't do it themselves. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Alan.